Hello, travel biz owner. Welcome to my corner of the travel industry, the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur Podcast. If you're ready to have fun, be inspired, get clarity, and take action in your travel business, then you're in the right place. Let's jump in. Hello, sweet travel friend. So nice to have you here for another week on the podcast. Talking about, I was going to say a controversial topic, but I don't think it's really controversial. I think it's a confusing topic. I think it's a topic that needs some clarity, which is why it's on the podcast today. And without further ado, let's get into it about search engines versus social media. So it's been a while since I've talked about the marketing matrix, or what I call the marketing matrix, which is meet, connect, convert, and then reconnect, the MCC method. And meet is how are you meeting people so that they are aware of your business and what you do in your business so that they even know that your business exists. Connect is once they're in your atmosphere, how do you keep them in your world if they're interested in doing business with you or just learning more about what you want to be doing? And then converting means how are they converting, or when are they converting into being a paid client of yours? And then reconnect is you can't just be like, thanks for paying me, bye. You have to keep in contact with them and still keep providing value to them in some way. And now that I'm saying this out loud, and I'm also thinking that this really is more of digital marketing means, but also, like, when I think of reconnect, the automatic thing that I think about is like if you're sending out holiday cards or if you're sending out birthday cards, to really let them know. I mean, the primary purpose of that is to let them know that you're thinking about them and you really want to make them feel special. It's not something that a lot of other business owners do. And it's not something that like the big conglomerates will do. But the more that I think about it also is that, you know, if I'm thinking about service providers that I have some sort of personal relationship and not like, this can not be. So I'm thinking about car accident lawyer that I know really well. I'm also thinking about the mechanic that I talked about a couple weeks ago, who I don't follow them. I don't know if they have a social media presence. I just know, like, if I'm in need of those services, I'm going to go straight to them. And a lot of your clients may be the same, is in that they have probably met you somewhere and they don't care about the whole social media factor because they have that personal relationship with you. And so that's, if we're going back, talking about a little bit about meet, that meet part is that personal relationship part. I think that a lot of us get confused that social media is the meet part, but social media is really the connect part, specifically when we're talking about digital marketing, because that's why I'm like, I don't want to confuse too much, because there's the in-person personal relationship type marketing, and then there's digital marketing. It's two separate things. And so I want to focus on digital marketing, where a meet type of strategy or tactic really is a search engine. And the connect really is the social media. Can people find you on social media? Yes. Is that primarily why people on social media? Like, are people on social media to search for a solution? No. They are typically on social media because they want to be connected with amazing people, friends, family members, relatives, all of that. Or they have met you probably in person, and now the way for them to connect with you from that in-person meeting is through social media. Now, if you're utilizing things on social media like hashtags and keywords that can be picked up on social media, that does help with your reach, especially like all the different algorithms, because if you're using social media, just an FYI, and you're not using vertical video or any sort of video, your social media is not great. Not great. Like, this is the time right now that video really is the ruler of the social media platforms, especially if you want to be found on social media. So that's kind of like a little bit of the differences. And I know a lot of people do social media because you want to get found on social media, but you're missing a step. Social media is not necessarily a place to be found. It can be a place. It can. I will say that. I'm not trying to totally be ixnay on the social media. What I am saying is that if you have been finding social media frustrating because you're not getting any clients from it, there's a lot of different ways to diagnose it, and we won't even go in there. But I can also guarantee that it is probably because you are not doing anything to meet new people in your business. I can't totally guarantee it, but there is a high likelihood, and I know because I was guilty of that myself. So I don't really use social media as a meet tactic. I use it as a connect tactic. You have probably met me somewhere else in your travel business journey. Whether that's you found me on the podcast because podcasting is actually a search engine tactic. You may have met me through somebody else that you know. That's also, I wouldn't say that's a search engine, but that's getting on OPP, other people's platforms. And because you've met me on there and I've done something, maybe you've heard one of my audio series or any of my webinars, you're like, hey, this chick is kind of cool. Let me keep following her. And so you follow me either on social media or you subscribe to the podcast, because really, quite honestly, at this point right now, I am most active on this podcast platform. So if you're trying to connect with me, you are always going to get a fresh new podcast episode every single week, and you're going to get a fresh new email in your inbox every single Friday. Both of those come out every single Friday. And so if you're wanting to learn a little bit more, that's the places that you learn a little bit more and that you try and kind of figure out, like, is Rita my people's? Am I learning from Rita? Do I want to hand over money so that I can learn more from Rita? Your clients are doing the same thing from you. So let's kind of break it down a little bit between search engines. So search engines are Google, it is YouTube, Pinterest, podcasting, and blogging, but blogging kind of goes with Google. Those are, I'll say it, like 5 different ways that people can find you on the internet outside of being on OPP, on other people's platforms. And so Google, part of how Google finds you is your SEO on your website. And so, yes, I know earlier this year I was like, you don't need a website. Which, if you're like, oh my gosh, I need a website, don't overwhelm yourself. There's easy ways to do this. But so going back to the SEO is search engine optimization. A search engine like Google is going to scan all of the words on your website. And when somebody is searching for the words that are on your website, Google will populate into their search results, hey, Rita has a travel business, and it looks exactly like what you're looking for, what you just input in this search engine. Maybe you should try it out. That's kind of how the search engine algorithms work a little bit. The Google algorithms work a little bit. And so that is why it is super important to work with a knowledgeable web designer and possibly even an SEO strategist who can really do the research that's required to build you an effective website so that you can be found online. Outside of Google, there's also, or outside of the search engine aspect, there's also Google Business Platform. And Google Business Platform, if you don't have a website, is kind of like where I like sending most people to start working on, is that it's you have a listing on Google pretty much. And so when somebody is looking for travel agent near me, or travel agent specializing in this, or travel coach, or travel creator, or however it may be, however you kind of address yourself, that is what will populate also up in the Google search engine results. And so that is also why it's important that you fill out everything completely on your Google business profile, and then also strategize to adding services and products and FAQs and all of that. I have so much more information in my Google Starter Kit if you're interested in that and wanting to get the jump. It's pretty much, if you are utilizing Google Business Profile, you are telling Google exactly what you want to be found for. And when I learned more about Google Business Profile, I'm like, why is nobody talking about this tool? People are searching for businesses just like yours on Google every single second of every single day. So you want to make sure that your business has a Google Business Profile listing. What I will also say, thinking about it too, is that when we're thinking and comparing search engines to social media, search engine people, the people that are searching on search engines, are what I would say more of a warmer audience than a cold audience. People that are searching for service providers on a search engine are needing help right now. Do you remember? I think I may have mentioned this a couple months ago on the podcast. My washer in my house, something malfunctioned, and I was trying to figure out how to fix it. And so I went to the handy dandy trust engine, search engine of YouTube to figure out the fix. It is easy to get people to start following you and all your tips and tricks if you are on these types of search engines, because you are providing an immediate band-aid to the little boo-boo that they might be experiencing. And for a lot of you, that pain point is, I want to go overseas. I've never been overseas before. I don't know how to do it. Or I have been overseas, but I've never been to this country before. Or I have this really big milestone celebration. Or I really just need to celebrate to get away, or I really am looking to reconnect with my family. Whatever the reasoning is, that is what they are searching on all of these different platforms for. And if you can provide the platforms, like let the platforms know, these are the things that I want to be found for, like through keywords, through hashtags, and by putting more information on any of these platforms, the easier it's going to be able for somebody to be able to find you, follow you, cultivate that relationship, and convert hopefully to a client or refer you to a potential client. So just wanted to also get the difference between that, because immediate pain point solver is what a search engine is for. Warm audience is what warm audience is looking like for. And then a cold audience is that social media. People aren't necessarily looking for a solution on Facebook. It might pop up through an ad. I might be ready to buy. I might not be ready to buy. People are more apt or ready to buy on a search engine platform. It's very similar to Instagram and TikTok. They're all really fun platforms, but many people are going to those platforms to be entertained, possibly to be educated on a topic that they have been wanting to get education for. Not saying that they cannot be buyers or anything, but that is where you're cultivating the relationship that people are kind of like sizing you up and down to see if you're the right person to work with. Alrighty, so we talked a little bit about SEO. Blogging tells search engines, and especially if you're blogging on a consistent basis or updating your blogs even, it clicks into the search engines like, hey, I'm active. You still want to send people to me, and these are maybe some new parameters that you want to send people to me under. So that is also the benefit of blogging. It's just another place for you to add keywords, search terms, search phrases. And then it also shows that you are active on your website and that Google and whatever other search engine should be pointing people in your direction because you're active on your website. All right, so SEO, Google, blog. And then we have, yes. And then we have two platforms that I think people might consider social media, which is the Pinterest and the YouTube. And kind of, but really they're search platforms. And personally, I haven't used Pinterest in a really long time, and I'm slowly starting to get into Pinterest because I want to see, because Pinterest is a search engine, if I create pins that will promote blog posts that I have on my website. Technically, thinking about that, it should increase my website traffic, which means I should have people on my website for a little bit longer, which means inquiring minds are going to want to learn a little bit more about what I'm doing and maybe more apt to be booking and converting quicker because they are searching for a solution that my blog post has kind of solved for them there. So, and that's what Pinterest is. And I say I haven't used it for a long time because when I used to use Pinterest, it was a lot about, probably food recipes. I think I have lots of different boards that are food and recipe related, health related. And then I think like home type hacks and decor type hacks is what's on there. So I hadn't really seen it strategically as a business. It's not one of my main focal points, but if you are a big blogger, if you love writing, you should be blogging. And if you are blogging, you should be creating posts or pins for your blog posts and putting those up every couple of weeks so that more people can head on over. You can increase your web traffic and everything I just said. And then YouTube. I would say YouTube is probably the number 2 search engine in the world with, obviously Google being number 1. But if people can't find their answers, or if people are very visual and do-it-yourselfer types, that's where they go to Google, aka with my washer incident. And it doesn't have to be just for do-it-yourselfers. It can also be I am trying to research and I'm trying to get research from an expert who has been there or experienced a thing or who has knowledge about a thing. And that's also why they go to YouTube because, some people are readers and blogs are going to be great. Other people like myself, I like hearing and I like seeing somebody do something. So when I think when you're trying to figure out which of these platforms you want to be on, that's kind of what you have to break down a little bit about too is who are you? What do you like doing? What is the easiest effort? Because I would much rather be talking to you here on this podcast than having to record a video and having to write something out. Now, I do get the inspiration to do the other 2 things, but I just love coming here because there's no pretenses. I don't have to get pretty or anything. I can just come to you and be like, hey, I got some stuff I gotta tell you. So, which kind of goes along with the next one, which is podcasting. So, we've talked about the search engines, websites, blogs, Pinterest, YouTube. Then there is podcasting, which I don't think many people would have considered podcasting as a search engine, but I'm sure, and I know somebody who had found my podcast a couple months ago, just looking on Apple Podcasts. And so people are also searching podcasts to get answers to questions that they have, to find solutions to questions that they have. And podcasting, the podcast platforms are proving to be a really great way to find new podcasts, new voices, to find solutions. And so it is also important that if you're having a podcast, to utilize that search engine optimization in your words and your keywords that you have. I will recommend a really great friend. And let me know if we should bring him back on the podcast. His name is Adam Shively. He hosts Podcasting Business School. And he just had a limited, not time, it's just a limited series. I think it's 21 episodes called the Podcast Monetization Series. I cannot remember if I'm right, but if you go ahead and look up Podcasting Business School, you should find him. And let me see. Oh, he was on the podcast about 2 years ago, episode 13, one of the first episodes I did here. So if you're wanting to learn more about podcasting for your travel business, he gave chock full notes on there. But I love podcasting, and I have been making small tweaks so that my podcast can be found on more of the podcasting platforms as well as the search engines, because the search engines are utilizing those show notes and show descriptions as things that pop up in their search results. So those are different ways that you can be found in search. I will say search, I feel, is a combination of long and short game. I think it really just depends on what stage in the buying process that your buyer is in. Are they even aware that they have a problem? Once they have a problem, have they even tried out any solutions? If they've tried out solutions and nothing's seeming to work, what's going to differentiate from your solution? I forget the official names of the different things, but it's problem aware, solution aware, and then they want to get to the real juicy bits. I may have to do a podcast episode of the different stages and what you can do to help facilitate the different stages. And then we go on to the social media side, which I had just mentioned was the Instagrams, Facebooks, TikToks. And I don't want you to completely be okay, well, if those aren't going to get me to the people that I need to be getting to, then why should I even be there? And to that I say because of stories. And so, yes, you can make different posts and things, and you can go live and I'm not knocking anything, but if we're really thinking about social media as that connection platform, that is really where the stories feature. And if you didn't know, stories are just how long are they? They're maybe a minute long, and they're only up for 24 hours, so they go away. You can keep them in your Instagram story highlights. And if you do stories on Instagram, you can put them over on Facebook if your Facebook page is connected and all that. So, and that's why I'm trying to myself kind of focus more on these different search engine techniques. But where I see the value and what I love about social media are the Instagram stories. I hope that gives some clarity to kind of the differences of the different platforms, because there is so much that you can do in terms of the marketing world and so much elevation that you can have. My success the success that I've seen on social media is increased visibility through just the reels that I post that really resonate with people. I love cultivating relationships and going back and forth in messages via stories, and really other people's platforms again, which is not any sort of social media, obviously, but because I've had so many partnerships this year with other businesses, brands, and business owners within the travel industry, new people have come into my space, into my sphere, and they've been learning a bit about me. And again, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, either you want to do business with me or you don't want to do business with me. And you have to think about that similarly for your own travel business. And I hope you can see certain things as a case study and things that I have changed recently and things that I am trying, because again, business is a big experiment to me. And I love doing case studies on things. You saw me doing like the case study on Threads, the case study on Barbie. I will keep doing that as long as there's big things happening, which there will always be. But I was there. I was a very frustrated business owner. And not saying that I'm still frustrated. There's different frustrations, but I was doing all the things and nothing was happening because I was focusing on meeting people on a connection platform and not meeting and bringing new people into my atmosphere, which is what these search platforms do. And I know that time can be limited to search and like be meeting people, going to events and things like that. But it is critical to your success as a business owner that you get out of your common circle of people and that you're meeting however it is that you meet them. If it's at events, if you schedule one-on-ones with them, if you go to one of their programs, if you're commenting on their content, if you're swapping things with them, like if you're swapping blog posts and things with them, if maybe you have a storefront and you're like, okay, I'll post this promotion of yours in my business, you post this promotion of mine in your business. But you have to have relationships with other people, and you have to have relationships with a lot of people. And I say this because I know sometimes people think, oh my gosh, that other person's so lucky, that other person's so lucky. That other person might have a little bit of luck, and I fully believe in luck, but I also fully believe in making your own luck. And the way that you can make your own luck is by making things happen. And especially with people and relationships, it's not what can people do for you, it's more what can you do for somebody else that really compounds and expounds on the results that you can get from that. And I know, again, this doesn't have anything to do with search engines or social media, but I felt it in my heart that I had to say that because, yes, I was frustrated before until I saw the light. And, one of the reasons, so I network for a couple different reasons, and I like meeting people for a couple different reasons. One is I need to meet people so I have people that I can refer. And the people that are in my network, if they're needing something, I need to be able to say like, oh yes, I met this person. Oh yes, I met this. That makes me a valuable member of my network if I can connect them with other people. Because that also means if I help somebody through a connection, it will come back to me. I don't know when it's going to come back to me, but I know it always comes back to me in some way or fashion. And now I blinked out, everybody. So I guess it is a really great time to stop here. If you have any questions, please feel free to post them up on the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur group. But I hope this was a really great overview for you to determine the difference and the benefits, pros, cons, and all the in-betweens of utilizing search engines and deciphering between social media platforms. Speaking of case studies, there is a case study example that you will soon be hearing in my latest podcasting series, the Hispanics in Travel podcasting series. It is my newest private podcast series. I am currently still recording episodes, but that will go live on Wednesday, October 4th. And I currently have 6, but the 7th interview is nearly scheduled. So many leaders from the travel industry. Let me see if I can remember them all. Daniel Santiago from Regal Wings and Cobelli Travel, which is a Maldives DMC. Vanessa McGovern from Gifted Travel Network. Lionel Garcia from MSC Cruises. Oh, no, I'm forgetting people. I'm sorry. Alex Pinello from Amo Waterways. Janet Bava from Windstar Cruises. And now, one more person that I forget. I feel so bad that I forget. oh my goodness, no, I need to remember who this is. Hold, please. We're going to go look. Oh, and then, of course, Michelle Rodriguez Suarez from Riverside Cruises will be the confirmed speakers. And then again, I will let you know who that seventh one is once that person has been confirmed. But please go ahead, sign up for that. Now, at the time of the recording, the page might not be totally up. So if it's not up, just check back later in the afternoon and it should be up. But I am so stinking excited to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month with these interviews. If you did not know, Hispanic Heritage Month actually starts next week, September 15th through October 15th. So I am really excited to have this audio series right in the heart of Hispanic Heritage Month. Alrighty, that is it for me. You have an amazing week and I will see you soon. Thanks for joining me on the podcast today. Remember to check out the show notes for all relevant links and resources from today's show. See you next time.